now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
This has been
on Spoiled Rotten, and today we are finishing our coverage of The Last of Us Season 2, episodes 5 through 7. All right.
Yeah.
It- I'm all thrown off because I didn't start the way we normally start. We were to do this. I guess the best way to do is lightly touch on all three episodes overall main events, and then we can kind of talk about storylines that happen across all three, and we don't really have to go in a specific order. But how did you feel about this last half?
The last half, I'm seeing why there's so much criticism towards this season, and like I watched other people's reviews on it, their think thoughts and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I have to agree with a lot of it. I think there's some stuff that got changed for the good, but I think as a whole, I went into this season knowing that the game was poorly received by its fan base. So the idea that we're gonna have any significant change towards that without completely rewriting the second game is going to be very, very difficult because of what the game and this season are trying to get across, and people just do not like that. I'll get into it when we do the wrap up, but like that to me, I'm like, yeah, it's a big hurdle to catch, and like last time, like the first part of the season, I'm like, I don't know what happens in the game. I know what happens in the game now, and I'm like, they're gonna really hate season 3 way more. Maybe not. I don't know, because a lot of the hate seems to be pointed towards Bella Ramsey.
It's gonna be 2 more seasons, which I think is a mistake.
Yes,
season 3 and 4 is a bad idea. I think.
Yeah,
unless you're just doing completely new stuff in season 4.
I don't think they're going to. I just think they're going to milk out season 3 from the Abby's perspective and all that kind of stuff. And then season 4, we're going to pick up where the game picks up, like, with ends. Bella Ramsey and all that kind of stuff.
So I don't actually feel that I've seen valid criticisms of this season outside of it's not the way I played it.
Yes.
I think all of my frustration with it is that they want to do multiple seasons for one game, like 3 seasons for one game.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it, because when I'm talking about valid criticisms, I'm talking about looking at people that I normally think have very thoughtful criticisms. Because I do think a lot of the criticism comes from people thinking that it's holding people's hands and just saying everything out loud, while I watch them completely miss the things that are actually happening on screen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So then it tells me that while the show isn't perfect, a lot of the lot of anger is coming from they're not doing it the way I enjoyed it the first time.
Yeah, and that to me is like why I'm like, I think Fallout is a superior adaptation to a TV series than this, because this is always going to be the difficulty of people being like, oh, I played Ellie this way, or I saw Ellie as this character, and she wasn't as annoying in the game, and this, I'm like, yeah, you have your own experiences and all that kind of stuff. You get your own moments, but by and large, people just didn't like the second game in general. Like, and
I don't know if that's
it's
true.
hard for no, it is true. It is. I watched the whole video game world burn when that happened.
But I think that over time, people have reclaimed it the same way that like everyone hated the prequels, and then there was a reclamation, and I think it happened in a shorter period of time.
Maybe, I don't know. I just feel like it's very difficult to separate that for the people that are reviewing it. And
I agree with you that people were upset about it. I'm just saying that I don't think that the lasting impression of the game, especially after the show, is that people don't like it. I think this show is pushing people to see that they liked the game a lot more than they let on initially.
That is true. That is 100% true. A lot of people are now being like, yeah, the second game wasn't that bad
Yeah, like
compared to
like
this.
I know exactly what you're talking about because
Mhm.
I only knew about the second game and what happens in it because of all the backlash. But
Mhm.
that was like as people were playing it and not as they actually had digested it.
That's true.
But yeah, so I guess episode 5, I'll be honest, is an episode I don't care about. But it is the episode where I think the big beat is Ellie going after Nora
Yep.
and beating her for information.
Mhm.
And you see the spores. Like they finally introduced the spores.
Mhm.
Much like a lot of my criticisms of the season as a TV show,
Mhm.
with that we don't really go anywhere with the spores.
No.
So a lot of things that are introduced in this season don't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Which I would say is a negative.
Mhm.
But
Especially because the last 2 episodes didn't feature any of the infected whatsoever from
so
a
I
visual
just
standpoint.
saw a stat that that's the same as the first season.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, when people bring that up, I'm like, season 1 was like that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's telling if someone's like, I'm watching the zombie show, because I feel like we talked about it when we covered the first season early on. It's not. The zombies are something that helps push the plot forward, but it is not a
Yes.
zombie story.
Correct. There's no story to tell with zombies. It's just
Yeah,
you're talking about human survival at the brink of extinction. That's the
Yeah.
story.
I don't really need the zombies in that way.
No, you're
Obviously,
right.
they'll be there. It's a thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I wasn't like, hey, where are the zombies? Because I feel like everyone is in this for the relationships.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's the big thing in season 5. Episode 5. Is
yeah.
episode 5 also the one where Dina like explains
Yeah.
that her mom and sister were killed in front of her when she was 8, or is that episode 4?
I can't remember, to be perfectly honest.
I feel like yeah,
Because
ultimately you get confirmation from Dina in episode 5
Mhm.
that she's like, no, I'm here to do this. Like I'm it doesn't matter what those other people think. They killed Joel just like I had to watch my mom and sister die.
Yep.
I got the guy who did it, so obviously I understand why you want to get Abby. I feel like that's in and around 4 and 5, but
yeah.
the big thing is that Jesse has to save them because they get cut. They get pinned down by a bunch of infected, and I believe it's the Seraphites hit Dina with an arrow. So Jesse has to like save the day and get her out of there, which leads us into episode 6, which is completely flat. Well, it's not completely, but it's like 99% flashback.
Yes.
I will say episode 6 is my favorite episode of the season.
I agree.
I feel like it helped, especially me, where I was like, what's the point of Gale? And then I'm like, oh, like she's everything to this.
Yep.
Like Gale is the key that brings everything together here.
Yeah. Because in the first when we reviewed the first part of this, I was like, yeah, this is why Gale's upset. But I just knew that because that's what they said, but you never see it play out, and seeing it play out is so much more different than what you're actually told. You're at that point, you're just like, especially with how Ellie just like kind of sells out Joel in that kind of situation. It's just like, oh yeah, she has every right to be as pissed off at Joel as she needs to be, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because it's not that he killed him. It's not even the way he killed him. It's the way he delivered the information.
Yes. Completely lied and just like made up everything.
But what I think, I don't have anything to base it off of, but I do think she appreciated the lie. It's that he did it in front of people, and then Ellie blew it up. So she's there looking like an idiot when she takes the lie and hugs him, because I do think she's comforted by that. Like that is better for her to hear than what, because I it's another decision that Joel makes. I guess we can talk through this episode. This episode is it's marked by Ellie's birthdays, and it's beautiful at first because you see all the effort that Joel puts into making these birthdays special for Ellie. The first one, he comes with the cake, but she's burnt her arm so that she can. She's telling the truth. She's like, "Oh, I just wanted to wear sleeve. Like, I didn't want to have to wear sleeves all the time."
Right.
So she burns herself, then no one can tell that it's a bite.
Yep.
But it's also the birthday that he got her a guitar, so she can't really play it at first. So he plays for her, and it's the first time, obviously, she's heard him sing. So she's having the Dina moment of obviously not romantically falling in love with him, but having a deeper love for him now as he's shared even more of himself with her.
Yeah.
And he's showing he understands part of her, because obviously this episode shows he didn't truly understand her, which we already knew. But like, he's like, yeah, I get why you burnt yourself. Like, don't worry, I got it. And then the next birthday is the space, taking her to space, which was beautiful.
Yes,
I really liked that. Then is the one where she's getting tattooed and with Kat, and he just completely blows it when he's like, "Oh, like you're experimenting with girls." I'm like, I like that this is part of it, that he is like, he's bigoted as well.
Yes.
But because then it plays into, I just like how this gives you a lot of great context for what came before it, of like why. It's a deeper reason for Ellie to be like, I don't need your fucking help when he pushes Seth, because you're just like him. Like, you also think I'm experimenting. Fuck you.
Yeah, you're just doing this performatively in front of a crowd, versus like she knows the genuine intention is just like, yeah, you're protecting your surrogate daughter and all that kind of stuff. But it is, and
you're
Ellie's
like
right for this.
Something in yourself as well. Like,
you're projecting. This isn't like what is wrong with, because that is a situation where it's like, why would you respond violently with something like that when it's
when she did have it under control.
Yes, she did, absolutely. And it's also him not trusting her to defend herself and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not like things got out of hand. It was just an exchange of words, right? And although not great and very bigoted and very
it was still crappy her situation to handle.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what I liked about that birthday, was that, and it's the birthday where she's like, and I'm moving out. Obviously, I can't.
Yeah, she's going to the garage.
And then what? I don't remember. Oh yeah, then the last one is let's go on patrol, and we finally see Eugene, as played by Joe Pantoliano. And it's another decision that Joel made that made me be like, I fucking hate you. Like, I don't actually hate the character. I like that the character is written in a way to make me this angry after I just watched him do all these great things. But it's what we said in the finale of last season of like, I don't think he made the wrong choice in terms of the decision he made to be like, no, Eugene's not coming back with us, or no, I'm not letting them experiment on you. But I don't like that he lies to Ellie about it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, she should have the choice, and I'm like, I don't think, and I haven't heard anyone make this argument, but my thought process is, people like to say, well, why would you let kids decide their gender and what and how they want to? But I'm like, those are life affirming things, and like how they want to keep living. I don't think giving the kid the choice of, do you want to die or not, is a realistic. I don't think you should do that.
There's no way
you can tell them, I'm not doing that because they're going to kill you, and they can be mad at you. But like, yeah, I just wanted to make it clear that I don't think that if a kid is like, I was assigned male at birth, but I feel female or whatever, is the same thing as the Ellie thing of, hey, no, my whole purpose in life is to die for science. It's like, no.
Yep. It's totally not the same thing.
That's not a decision to keep living. That is a decision to end things. And and like, yeah. So I just feel like, no, not at 14, not at 19. Like, that is something that an adult does.
And
I think that's, and you don't have a father figure the same way Joel and Ellie were operating at that time. And I think this is another time where I'm upset at him because, and I love that the show does that, because I think everyone's like, well, she just said out loud. I'm like, Well, I actually liked that when she finds out that he lied, she didn't say you promised. She said you swore, because she's
Yes.
talking about this. You swore about the Firefly shit.
Mhm.
This is just the straw that broke the camel's back. She is going. She is stuck on the Firefly thing. That's all she's ever
Mhm.
cared about. And yeah, I just think that the show did actually a good job of, if you're watching, and I'm not saying these people aren't watching, but obviously they're looking for something that this show isn't going to give them.
Yeah.
Um, a lot isn't said, or when you think they're saying a lot of things, it's probably to set up the stuff that isn't said later that you need to glean from what's going on.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I liked that there was that element of, yeah, sure, she's saying a lot of things, but it's, what does it mean?
Mhm.
Why would it be important for the storyteller to let you know exactly how she feels about this, so that there can be other ambiguities for you to
Mhm.
play? So yeah, I like that she, yeah, the porch scene is great, and I know people are upset that that's supposed to happen at the very end of the game, but like,
Sure.
they got to give us some kind of closure in this season.
Yeah, yeah, they got to go something, but like it is what it is, and you know it's very clear what
I
they have
also
mapped
don't
out for
think
season
like
three.
I also don't think that would hit as hard at the end of season 4, like
It would not.
5 years from now.
So, and this is the challenge, right? A lot of the criticism of this season, when you remove all the identity politic criticism, which is not criticism, it's just people projecting their hate onto Bella Ramsey. But it's just the idea of, and I do slightly agree with this, the 5 year time jump doesn't work with Bella Ramsey being this like it's like 2 years in real life, but there's no age up in that regard, right? So they're really, really annoyed with it. And I'm like, I kind of get where they're coming from, but that's like a nitpick in that situation. It really,
Mm,
really is.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't feel the same way at all.
fair
I
enough.
think it works. I think
Yeah,
Bella Ramsey is a very good actor, and she's
yeah,
showing you the difference
yeah.
between Ellie at 14 and 19. A
Yes.
lot of what I'm hearing is what I think the root of Bella Ramsey
Mhm.
criticism is she's not attractive enough for me, and also she doesn't look old enough for me to rightfully lust after her.
Yep.
I think
There's
that
that.
is the
And then the
root of it.
non-binary stuff that, you know,
Yes.
yeah.
So I do think that while I'm sure there are people that wish she looked older, I don't think that that is a criticism that is rooted in someone actually sitting with the show.
Yeah, that's not like I at this point I'm like talk about the acting. If you're going to talk about her not looking the part, talk about hair and makeup because they could age her up. They easily could. Like all the things, but it's just to me I'm like a child actor now leading a show because Pedro's not there to be in every single episode, you know what I mean? So it's a tall task to ask for all this kind of stuff, but at the same time, she's doing a good job. She really, really is of
Yeah, they are.
doing the
They're doing
acting and the subtle nuances and all that kind of stuff. Because what this the second game really is
Well,
exploring is
I just want to get to the
morality.
last episode before we
Sure.
get into this talk. So,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
keep
fair enough. Yeah, yeah, no, you're right to cut me off there. Yeah, okay, so let's get into the last episode.
um. So yeah, the last episode is um Ellie getting back to Dina and Jesse.
Mhm.
Jesse, I don't know. I guess people read it as he didn't know. I know she goes, "Shit, you didn't know for sure," but I feel like Jesse had a good hunch that Dina was pregnant.
Yeah.
That's why you would bring up, why did she say I can't die? Why did she deny, or like why did she reject the alcohol?
Mhm.
But anyway, so that's like, there's this thing, and then I like that they come to this discussion of him being like, yeah, it's annoying, but I also know you love her in a different way than I love her.
Mhm.
Um, and they still fundamentally disagree on how to move forward and like what makes you good and do you think you're better than me and
Mhm.
all that. But right before he dies, he is like, look, I get it, like I support you because you would burn everything down to save me as well.
Mhm.
And I think what is interesting about that, before we go into just overall storylines, what I
Mhm.
like about that element is, as much as people are saying everyone just says what they're thinking, um Ellie says a lot of bullshit and is not actually following up on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Multiple times she's choosing death over saving. Like she's
Mhm.
not like her actions are directly why Jesse dies.
Yep.
And he even says at one point, "Hey, we can go save Tommy,
Mm-hmm.
or you can go kill somebody." And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Yep, I'm gonna go kill. Like, I'm
Yep.
not going to." Even though she's like, "Oh no, I'm better than you. I'm not." And it's like, and we'll get to other criticisms I've heard of what happens when she goes to the aquarium, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's an element of, you can be upset it's not like the game, but what is happening is more interesting to me in the sense that it is showing you problematic behavior without being like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 like, see, she is the bad guy because
Yep.
look at how violent she is. It's like, no, like, she is choosing violence
Mm-hmm.
consistently. And so
And
whether or not you like that she, quote unquote, accidentally shot someone in the neck versus stabbed them to death, the point is she is a violent person that chooses violence over actually saving somebody.
correct.
She's not actually trying to save anybody,
Mm-hmm.
even though there are people around her she should be trying to save.
Yes, yes, and you know, the biggest thing about this was like I think it was like episode 5 when Dina and her are getting away. Dina has this big discussion, it's like, and no guns, right? And then she's like, "What do you mean?" And then Dina rightfully calls her. I was like, "Every situation, you're going in guns blazing every
Mm-hmm.
single time." And the whole season, everyone's making that critique of her. It's like, yeah, you're getting in way too hot, you're irrational, like the town voting against
Mm-hmm.
her, be like all that kind of stuff. Everyone's telling her, yeah, you're making these rash decisions that are going to cost people, and they're based on your vengeance, your selfishness, your need for revenge. And
Mm-hmm.
she can't see that because she's so blinded and emotional by this, right?
Yeah.
And it's and this is why I'm like, Bella Ramsey's doing such a great job of it. For all the people that are like, and she's joking around, she's doing this, she's not taking it seriously. I'm like, that's what you would expect from someone that's trying to justify their own behaviors for vengeance, is to dismiss it and minimize it and try to
Mm-hmm.
like joke around with it. I think she's making some very good decisions there. I don't think that is a thing that is just like, oh, the director just let her do whatever. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
very
I
intentional
do think
thing.
they go by they them pronouns.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
um I do think that, yeah, I just feel there's a lot of unfair criticism of Bella
Yes.
Ramsey's performance,
Mhm.
because I do think they are doing a very good job and a distinct version from the Ellie of the video game,
Mhm.
which I think makes sense for TV show storytelling
Mhm.
versus a video game where a lot of it is you doing the action. So
Mhm.
maybe they do need to just be like, well, no, Ellie's just angry now, so you're angry.
Mhm.
When it's not a video game, you do have room to be like, let's observe Ellie as she might actually be.
Yep.
And so I think the end of this is obviously she goes to the aquarium instead of to go save Tommy.
Mhm.
She kills Owen and Mel,
Yep.
and then she comes back. Tommy stops her or something. I can't remember. Somebody comes to get her.
Tommy
Yeah,
and Jesse do. They
Tommy and
both get
Jesse
her.
come to
Yep.
get her, and that's when Jesse has the conversation about, I get it. You'd burn down the world to save me too.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I would. And I think the audience would be like, of course she wouldn't. Like, I think I've seen too many people be like, yeah, of course, yeah. That's so he finally sees her like violent ways. I'm like, no,
No.
I think he wants to see that. It's more interesting to me if it's something he would like for it to
Mhm.
be true, but I don't. Neither of them are committed to that in my mind.
No. I think that's very wisely him trying to de-escalate Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it is more than
Yeah.
anything else, because Jesse has proven himself to be so capable and so wise and smart to be able to figure people out, right? Like that's what I really like about the character Jesse in this.
Yeah. And there is more of Jesse in this than in the video game, apparently.
Absolutely. Yes.
So yeah, I really like Jesse. I really like
Mhm.
Ellie in this, and they have that conversation. They hear a commotion in
Mhm.
in the lobby. As soon as they run out, Abby shoots Jesse in the face.
Yep.
Ellie comes out. She takes responsibility for Mel and Owen.
Mhm.
She gets shot at. We don't know what happens. Fades to black.
Mhm.
Then we reset to day one in Seattle with
Mhm.
Abby and Manny.
Yep.
those are the 3 episodes. We can start getting into details now.
Yeah. I think there's one also important thing from episode 6 that you didn't mention was that the brief flashback to begin the episode where they're in Austin, Texas, 1983,
Where's a Marvel
where
family?
yeah, where
Swordsman,
yeah, they're
Mr.
talking
Fantastic, and Ghost
swords.
Rider, all in the same family. It's great. Thank you
That's
for reminding
good.
me.
Yes, but the point being is that he steps up to protect his brother from being beat from his dad and all that kind of stuff for, smoking weed and all that kind of stuff. The dad being like, tell me the truth. And he
I feel
lies
like it's smoking, but it's also that he bought the weed.
yes, absolutely. And then
That's
the
big deal.
idea,
As a cop,
yes.
you would be like, "Oh shit, my kid's buying drugs."
Yeah, because then you gotta you gotta face the rest of the squad
Yeah,
and all that kind of bullshit cop nonsense. But the idea being that the dad having a beer with Joel and being
to
like,
like
and
celebrate,
Joel,
like, hey, way to be a man.
yeah, exactly, to be like, oh, you stood up for someone, good for you, son. But the idea of I like what Joel says, like if you experience the same, like if your
If you
dad
know how
beat
much it
you,
sucks, why are
why
you
are
doing it
you
to us?
doing this to us? And then the dad just basically being like, I hope you make different decisions than what I do. And I'm just like, oh damn, like that's just
What?
wild to me.
Well, I like that. I like that he is illustrating. The dad is illustrating that he is better than his dad.
Yes, but
Obviously,
it's
that's
still
not
there.
enough.
Yeah,
Joel is better than his dad in that he doesn't beat, but obviously, it's not enough.
yeah,
Um, I think it is important that Ellie says, "I'm going to be a dad," because she's obviously a shit dad.
yes,
Um, so yeah, I like that element, and that's something that's not in the game.
hmm
That's the dad scene is created for the show. So
yes,
that through line is something from the show that I think is worth at least propping up as something positive about this adaptation.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, to give us
yeah,
more backstory in these ways and all that
he's
kind
like,
of
yeah,
stuff.
I beat you, but at least I didn't break your jaw and make you wired shut. And then there's
Yeah,
Joel being like, I don't beat you, but I certainly lie to you and infantilize you and never like give you a chance to do anything.
yep,
And then there's um Ellie, who she lies too, actually. But I think what
hmm
was important about the Gail situation is her version of I'm gonna tell the truth also still hurts somebody, and I don't mean
yes,
Joel. Like that
yep,
still hurts Gail.
yeah,
It wasn't done for her. It was
no,
done to hurt Joel. So you're seeing their
correct.
violence.
Yeah,
Their violence against each other is still hurting everybody around them.
yeah, they're
And
they're
it's
they're
not a
definitely
good and
causing an
it
issue.
to me it does explain why she's kind of like I don't give a fuck about Ellie. She's a lost cause.
Yep.
But I still wish they had some scenes together. I do understand that she's like, I hate you, Joel, but also I don't give a fuck about your daughter.
hmm hmm Yeah. You're talking about Catherine O'Hara's character, right?
Yeah, Gail.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Kel. Yeah, it's I am glad that both her and Jeffrey Wright have multiple episodes because a big part of me was concerned that it was going to be like, wait, that's the Jeffrey Wright episode, like one scene where
to be
he
honest,
does that thing.
Jeffrey Wright does not work for me in this.
Really,
I was excited that he was there, and then I was like, I don't know what the fuck am I like. What do I take from this?
I don't know what to
I
take from
didn't
it
learn
either.
anything. Yeah, as I said, a lot of my criticism of this season is that it's just setting up two other seasons.
Yeah.
I think that what I liked about the first season, one, it's the whole game, but
hmm
even though it ends on like a cliffhanger of like, do you swear? Um, you understand that that portion of their story is over with now.
hmm hmm
Like he made the decision to not let the Fireflies experiment on her.
hmm
That's done.
hmm
So that is a logical place to be like, and then what's going to happen down the line?
hmm
This was just like, yeah, like it felt like, okay, we did like an Infinity War ending, except for it's not coming out next year.
mm
It's who they haven't started filming yet. So
Yeah, it's like
this
minimum
could be
2 years
two
away.
years. This could be
Yeah.
3 years. I like, and then I know that they want to do a fourth season. So then, what does that look like? Like, are they going to film it together or what? I just feel like,
Yeah.
oh, we're not going to get a full story.
No, you're right about that. We're not going to get a full story, and that is what's annoying about this because to me it seems like they're clearly stalling until the third game, if a third game gets released, does get because that's always been the
Because then
rumors
they
that
can
Naughty
keep
Dog.
going. Yeah,
Exactly. I think what they're really doing is they're stalling for time, to give Druckmann because I think Druckmann always like in the creators of the game are like, hey, this is our secret plans and all that kind of stuff. The same way kind of Game of Thrones was like, all right, if I die before, then this is what happens
Well,
in my
I mean,
version of
that's
the
what I
thing.
was going to bring
Yeah,
up. Game of Thrones is fucked because he
yeah,
didn't put out the book,
he didn't.
and one of two options: that was the ending he was going to do, and then he saw how people reacted to that,
And he's gonna
or
change it.
what's he gonna
Yeah,
do if that wasn't his ending, and people are like, "Hey, what's with this ending?"
yeah,
It will look reactionary,
yeah,
and so he's just like, to that extent, I hope they get that third one out before this one ends, if that's what they plan on doing. Because
yeah.
anyhow, they try to cannibalize what they wanted to do in the third game in this
Mhm.
show, and then people have to play it later. It's going to be a problem for them.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
like, yeah,
People
I
are
just think
not
they
gonna
should.
want to play the third
I
game if
think they
that's
should
the
have
thing.
just been like, yeah, we're doing the second season. Make it like 14 episodes, or if you, yeah, if you wanted to break it, I think they should have done a bit more to finish storyline. There needed to be a better
Mhm.
third season jumping off point, the way I think. And again, I understand they just completed the game in the first season, but
Right.
that felt like a finished story
Yeah.
with a hint at, oh, what could go, what I want to see what happens next. Still,
Yeah. The thing that conceptually makes sense to me is that this season is two seasons. It like if I was accepting anything, it'd be like, okay, this season, this game being two seasons, because then it's genuinely compelling to be like, yeah,
the
let's
Ellie
focus this
season, the
season
Abby
on
season.
Ellie and then focus on Ella on Abby's next because but then for there to be a fourth, I'm like, no, you're just stalling and you're milking this at this point, which is understandable. It's a business. They're trying to do that, but at the cost of artistic integrity, it doesn't work for me. So it's just a pure business decision, which of course Naughty Dog is known to do. It's the idea of like, yeah, they remastered Last of Us like what 5 years after the original release. And I'm like, what was the point of that? That's just a cash grab for the same audience. You didn't do anything different. In fact, the remasters for the video game took away a lot of the features that the original had, like the PvP mode and all that kind of stuff that people really, really love.
I
They
think we should
really
talk about
love
the
that.
show.
But the idea of like now they're just kind of doing that same greed going
Hmm.
into it. No, I'm definitely not talking about the game in the sense where I'm just like, oh, this is something that people have to accept that
I
Naughty
saw
Dog
the thing you
is
were
doing.
threading. I
Yeah,
just was like, we should, we should
yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
for sure. But it's just they are gonna try to get as much money out of this as possible, which that's so be it. But yeah, the biggest thing about this is what the game was trying to do, and what it did do, I should say, is help you understand that Ellie and Joel are not the good guys, and there's no good guy in this. It's just an eye for an eye leaves the world blind, and it's just one like back and forth, back and forth. There's no end. But what you're starting to see, and I think in a better light here in the show versus the game is that you're starting to really see Ellie's actions to be like, yeah, this is purely selfish. And
Yeah.
that everyone around her is doing it because that's not the same way in the game. The game, I don't think,
No,
has
I think
everyone.
Jesse is like, he's not as present
Yes.
in Seattle until a certain point, and when he
Yeah.
gets there, he's like, yeah, yeah, I'm down. Like, you should have asked me to come with you. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do think there are changes here that are
Mhm.
more interesting to dive into.
Mhm.
Um, I think the big criticism of the last episode, as I said,
Mhm.
we're not going to go in order, but I saw people being upset that she accidentally kills Mel and Owen, and to me, it didn't feel like an accident at all. Like,
No,
she
it doesn't.
is actively pursuing going after them over going to save Tommy.
Yeah.
So whether she got scared and accidentally shot him, it doesn't matter. As you said,
Mhm.
there's already been characters saying, "Hey, leave the gun alone.
Mhm.
You're too much of a hothead."
Mhm.
So e- even if you take out the idea that she made an active choice to go after them and kill, because that
Mhm.
would be the point of going to the aquarium. She thought she
Mhm.
was going to see Abby there, and she thought she was going to kill her.
Mhm.
that choice was to kill over to save and preserve life.
Mhm.
And I think that is very interesting and doesn't require me to see her have this epic fight with them to be like, see, look at her bloodlust. It's like that bloodlust is already there by the choice she made.
Yep. Yep.
And so, yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't know about these criticisms from people that I genuinely think are very good at watching things and taking what you need to take out of it. I really do feel that that yeah, you're showing what feels like when you've got like people that give a lot of lip service to a cause but then don't actually do anything to help that cause. And she has the one moment when she says, yeah, fuck the community, and she tells him straight up, Joel was my community. But everything else she does is like, yeah, community, or like, you're not better than me, we gotta help that kid that's getting beat up by the wolves. And he's like, dude, then we all die. Like, we need to say, I understand that he says, I'm not here to fight their war, but I'm also not like, hey, how come you didn't say? I just think that, yeah, like her choice is always death over.
Yes, she wants violence.
Like, she's like, yeah, kill me, then and we'll get a cure. Or I guess this is new for the show that Mel asks her to take the baby out when she's dying, and she doesn't. Granted, I don't know if I would. Like, I think I'd be like, I don't know, but ultimately, like, Mel's going to die regardless.
Right.
And if you don't take the baby out, the baby's going to die. So, like, why not try to save it? I think is the idea here. But she's not going to. She's, like, stuck in this, well, no. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. And I think all of that is important, and it's not dialogue driven like everyone's worried about, of like holding her hand. It's like, look what she does with it. Just look. There's no dialogue here. You could just look and see that her choice is death every time.
Yep. She's there to burn the world, and that is that is the thing. Like, she was ready to kill them both. There's no
that's
way
why you go in with your gun. Like, I didn't mean to hurt them. Like, of course you did. Like, that was your thing. And no, I won't kill you either way. And it's like, I mean, you probably you're ready to kill them.
Yeah, because there's no way
there
she
isn't
comes
really
out of
a way
scenario.
out of this for them.
No, there's no way. Like, she's there to get the information, and what if she gets the information? It's like, okay, peace. Like, no, like, they're going to be like,
you won't go after me when I go to kill your friend.
Exactly. Especially because, like, knowing how I know the game plays out, which I'm going to keep to myself, it's just like, yeah, this is a situation where they know what you're here for, because you're like, hey, where's Abby? And just those two alone.
She said
will be
earlier,
like,
I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah. It's just like,
they're not
what
like,
point?
hey, who are you again? He says when he goes, oh, you got to be kidding me. When he sees her, he's like, oh, this is the person that said they were going to kill us.
Yeah, she's right. She's there to kill. She absolutely is. She does not care. It's just she's playing the game to get the sympathy, to get to manipulate them to be like, oh, if we give away Abby's location, we'll be safe, kind of deal. Like, that's what she's doing there. But she fully intends to kill them, because there's no way out. What is she going to do? One person against two. It's like, oh, yeah, could you tie her up? And then I'm going to tie you up, and then I'm going to leave, and then, oh yeah, you're all both tied up, which, you might as well be dead anyways. Who knows how long it's going to take for people to get you and all that kind of stuff, or infected might come in and all that. It's just, there's no situation where she walks in there Ellie walks in there without killing both of them. And
that choice was made before she got there, when she decided, no, I'm not listening to Jesse.
Yeah, the choice was made when she was like, we're leaving Jackson and we're going on this death hunt. Like, there's the whole thing.
I agree with you that ultimately that's where. But even when they left, there was opportunity for her to make a choice to be like, oh shit, like, my new girlfriend's kid, which she immediately decided, I'm gonna be the parent. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, that was her natural inclination, was okay, and I'll be the dad. She had the chance to be like, oh, we should go back, because this is no place for a kid. And instead she was just like, no, I'll take you back. And it's like, what? I think people did the math and it like took them 45 days to get to Seattle. So like,
Mhm.
you're really gonna take 3 months to
To
go there
go
and
there
back?
and
Like,
back
no,
and
no,
all
just
that kind of
go
stuff when
home.
you barely made it the first time, and
Yeah.
there's just no way. And I like what you said about the false activism thing, because I mean, like that's very clearly what they're
Hmm.
going for with Ellie's kind of character, like the overnight activist that screams louder than everyone else, but it's just like, okay, you're clearly putting on a show right now, because what you're doing is just not letting anyone else's voice that deserves to be heard. They're not giving them speaking time. And for them to use Ellie's character to do that in the setting of Seattle was really smart. It's really,
Yeah,
really
I
clever.
think they're doing a lot of good there in terms
Hmm.
of um not saying it out loud. I mean, to us it
Yes.
feels obvious, but it's still
Hmm.
not being said out loud. And she's also not being as aggressively violent as the video game, but
Hmm.
it is still the important part of she is choosing violence every time. Like that,
Yes.
and not just violence, she's choosing death every
Yes.
time.
And here's the biggest thing, right? When you look at, there's big criticisms on in like these social groups and all that kind of stuff, the activism groups and all that kind of stuff, of how and I'm like, white women who Ellie's character is portraying in this, not
Yes, yeah.
Bella, but it's just
Bella
like,
Ramsey is
yeah,
playing a white
yeah,
woman.
she's
Yeah.
playing a white woman in this, but how white women don't actually want community, they want privilege of their own kind of thing. And that's exactly what she's doing in this. Ellie's doing is the idea of like, I want the privilege for this entire community that I just entered in and am not engaging in and not contributing um, to support me and my cause and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to work for you. Because she doesn't, like, she wants to do patrol, but that's because, again, the
Because that's
violence.
a power status.
Yeah,
Like
she
that's
wants
not
a
like
power status. She wants the violence. She wants some action. That's not genuinely, I want to help the community, because between 16 and 19, very clearly that episode 6 shows you she hasn't been doing anything for the
hmm
community. She just like, I know what I want this, and if I don't get this role, this position, then I don't do anything else. That's
like
very
there's a bunch
coded
of
white woman for sure.
yeah, I think it says something that um in episode 6 you get to see like Maria say like you mean something to this community
Hmm.
versus to Joel versus Ellie kind of just having people be like, "Can you not fuck this up for us, please?"
Yeah.
Hey Ellie, like we know that you're gonna do what you want to do, but please just let us do that.
Yeah.
Is yeah, I think that's telling
Yeah.
that there was someone there who decided to commit to the community
Hmm.
with faults, obviously. As I said,
Yes.
by the end of it, I was so angry at him. I'm like, why are you lying to her again? Like, I hated that he was like, oh
Hmm.
no, just get the horse and I'll bring him. I promise. Because I do think, yeah, like, how are you getting him back there? Like, he could
Hmm.
attack at any time.
Hmm.
There's no. Also, they already have a set of rules for like what needs to happen in that situation that
Hmm.
he's following. So why lie to her? Like, that's just this
Yeah.
layer of nonsense that made me be like, I fucking hate you, man.
Yeah, that was not great to me, but I did like that Ellie was like, lingered a moment to be like, to really check in with him, like to be like, hey, don't do it again, because I know
hmm
already. And I like that the season goes to show you like she's piecing together and being like, for her birthday, she was like preparing those questions about asking
hmm
more about the Firefly stuff and what happened there, and that finally she gets the actual truth in episode 6. And I like the line of like, just from a writing standpoint, of like, I don't know how to trust you after this, but I want to
Which is like, I
try.
don't think I can forgive you, but I'd
Yeah.
like to try.
Yes, but I'd like to try. I think that's really, really
Yeah.
just well written words, and evidence that Ellie's not actually stupid like everyone's saying she is, but like I say, it's just like, okay, if something's unimportant to her, she's just gonna make fun of it, dismiss it, and minimize it, which is, again, what people are refusing to look at, and what you and I are clearly seeing here is like, yeah, that's critique on white feminism and like those kind of movements, is the idea of like, yeah, we're gonna fight for women, but not women of color, and actively make it harder for women of color and all that kind
I
of stuff.
I think that I do not believe that the two men, and I can't remember the woman's name. I think it's like Haley or Hallie or something like that.
Hmm.
I don't believe that's what they are consciously getting at.
Hmm.
Um, just from listening to them on the podcast, I do not believe that is what
Sure.
they're getting. I think we can see elements of that,
Right.
and I do think that that doesn't make us wrong. I think
Hmm.
that that's just an observation of life that we have
Yeah.
from our point of view that they might not have.
Hmm.
But it is something that they would definitely see as problematic, and I think that's more the point of what they're getting at.
Yeah.
Of that, your favorites can still be problematic,
Hmm.
and uh, what they said at the beginning of the first season, that it's a love story, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
Hmm.
Because why I think it is important for us to know for a fact at this juncture of the story that Ellie wants to forgive Joel is that it is reaffirming that love story, and again, it's not
Yes.
romantic. She
Hmm.
loves him so much that that is something, no matter how many times he lies to her and disrespects her,
Hmm.
she will
She's.
try to find it in herself to be okay with it.
Yep.
And that's going to cause problems for other people
Yep.
and herself. But I
Hmm.
think that's the important thing that we need to know. So then so that someone like me, when she said, "Hey, I'm always going to be Joel and Ellie, and it's not a big deal," in the second episode where he dies, I'm like, "No, you aren't." It is important for me to see that no, actually, they did have that conversation at this point.
Hmm.
Seeing it at the end, I don't think will mean as much to me.
Sure.
If I watch this again, they want to do 4 seasons, so if I saw that scene like 4 to 5 years from now, I'd be like, "Oh, all right, yeah."
It means nothing at that point. It needed to
It's just
happen
it's
this
too
for
much
sure.
time to pass for me
Exactly.
to have that mean something. That's why episode 6 is my favorite of the season, because it is paying off a bunch of things uh, that I thought were issues with the storytelling, but actually making them grounded in something, and
Hmm.
I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Especially, as I said, because I was so like down on the Gale character, and I was like, oh, like I'm really happy that they weaved it all together that way.
hmm. Hmm. Yeah, they did do a really, really good job weaving that story together, as a beeline, I guess, throughout the this season. Um, yeah, the exploration of morality and good versus evil in Ellie and Abby's characters is wildly good. And I know what happened. I know what's going to happen in season three. We're going to see it from Abby's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where a lot of people are going to have to really, really evaluate what they perceive as good and evil and all that kind of stuff, because it's not simple. It's not simple whatsoever, because the perception of good often doesn't come with good behavior, like Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
But the behaviors of good often don't come with the recognition of a good reputation, like Abby. So
Yes.
it's just in that, like, sticking to this season alone, it's just like Abby's motivations, yes, while personal, because she killed my dad, also speaks to the greater community of that was our only chance to get a cure. That was the only person that could
Mm-hmm.
create a cure. And that is speaking to something like that's not selfish. In the grand scheme of things, that's the good that we're actually looking for in what these people would be facing in this world, right?
I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know that killing Joel is gonna make everyone happy about not having the cure, but I do think
Mhm.
that it's more connected to the Dina story of
Mhm.
her being like, yeah, like you took my family away. You think I'm not gonna come and get you? And I don't
Mhm.
care what your story is. I'm gonna come get you.
Yep.
Um, and how obviously it's important that we know what Abby's story is, so that when we're hearing that story, we can see how
Mhm.
that applies to Abby
Mhm.
and Ellie. Like, yes,
Mhm.
she says pinned down and you had to watch, but you understand how that also means Abby has just as much as right to come for you as
Mhm.
Ellie. So I don't know if it's like Abby's actually the good one. I just think it's like you like Ellie because you met her first.
Yes.
Abby is doing the exact same thing as Ellie, and seems to be more. Actually, no. I think season 3 will dispel everybody of the whole. She
Yes.
has a bigger community around her. I think she's alienated herself from her community, and that's clear in episode
She
2 as
has.
well.
Yep.
But the point is, they are very similar,
Mhm.
and they have similar um, fuel. So it would not make sense to try and lean one way or the other on which one's actually the good guy.
No, no. My point of saying this is that it's not a clear-cut answer. There is no good or bad when it comes down to actually exploring both these characters. It is just the whole, you got one on me, I'm going to get one on you. Let's even the score constantly. An eye for the eye leaves the whole world blind, right? And it is that very much. But looking at it from, like I said, those that do good are often not perceived as good. But those that claim to be good don't do any good, generally speaking. So it's like, what are we talking about here? And like, what is our perception of good or evil? And that's what's really forcing us to evaluate this. And absolutely, like you said, people just met Ellie first and therefore have that implicit bias towards Ellie and
Yeah,
just like,
and
oh
we
yeah,
and we like. I mean, you have an affinity for Joel
yes,
as the viewer or the game player.
Mhm.
As I said, I like the character of Joel because of how he made me feel, but I did
Mhm.
end up being like, "Fuck you, man! Like,
Yep.
how dare you?" But I think that Ellie and Joel together is good to watch and experience.
Mhm.
So yeah, you feel like you've had something taken away from you when Abby does what she does.
Yeah.
Um, but obviously, season 3 is from her point of view, or
Mhm.
I'm sure most of it will be, and
Yes.
you'll see where she's coming from. But we already know he killed her dad, so I think that's enough for me to be like, yeah,
No, there's more. There's
well, no,
more.
right. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying, what we already know.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, based on what we
So,
know. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so, yeah, what we already know is that he killed her dad. So that
Mhm.
is reason enough. If you're down with Ellie doing it, then you would be down with Abby doing it.
Yep.
And I understand that people are upset that they told you that in the first episode, but as I said, that just felt like a ticking time bomb, which is fine with me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like, get it over with sooner rather than later because it's this weird tension between those that know and those that don't know are like constantly getting teased of like, oh, wait till you see what happened. And like that's an annoying thing to have to deal with all the time. It's just like, yeah, get it out of the way. And it really sets the stage for the motivations of this season, to be perfectly honest. So I'm like, I don't know how you linger on that more. Like, what are we gonna do? Just spend more time just, hey, here's the daily life around Jackson. I'm like, no, that's we see how thriving that community is. We see what it's done already. They've done a good job of showing, not telling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just the fact that this is how the democracy in the town works, and this is how everything works, and they've done a good enough job building up Jackson already to know that if it wasn't for Joel and Ellie, Jackson would probably be still in a very, very good place. You know what I mean?
I mean, that thing with the zombies was just always gonna come and tear through them.
Yeah, it was accelerated, but I 100% agree. Yes, that was going to tear through. And by the way, I don't know. I don't think I got to speak to that very much in the first time, or I may or may not have, but I just love the action in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, great action. When people are like, "Why do they do this?" I'm like,
It
because they
was
could,
exhilarating. I don't
because
know.
it was awesome.
It's
It made us
thrilling, yeah.
feel something, and within the cluster of all that,
And
it
I
made
think it made you
everything
feel something
better.
for Abby when she was getting
Yes.
pinned down before you knew that she was actually going to succeed at her mission.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that was well done, and I
Really well
think
done.
that yeah, the only issue I have really is the splitting up of this game into 3 seasons. I think
Yep.
that no, the other thing I have an issue with is in episode 7 where she has her boat crash and then she gets on like, how do I always forget their names?
The
Um,
Surfites
Seraphite Island.
or the Scars. I think it's Scars or
I'm not
Surfites.
gonna call them the Scars, but yeah, the
Okay.
Seraphite Island, and
It,
then
yeah.
they're like, oh shit, and I understand from people who've played the
Mhm.
game what they're setting up and planting the seed of.
Mhm.
To me, that's a seed you plant in the same season. Again,
Yep.
not like something that you do for something again that could come out 3 years from now.
Yeah. Because now
But yeah,
all we really know is like, okay, cool. In
it
season
was,
three, we're gonna see
and
a
we know
war
it's a
between
thing
those
they took
two.
out of the game but put back in the show, and you're like,
Yep.
well,
At a weird
doesn't
time,
work.
for sure.
It does not work.
Yeah.
I don't think it works. I'm like, oh, she's gonna die. What? They're just gonna leave her there? Even if it was a distraction, she should have been able to like fight out of it, not just be
Yeah.
left there for them to be like, oh yeah, we got other things to worry about.
Yeah, because y'all can't tell me like at that point it's like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna let them run. I'm like, you had her there. You were just gonna do your thing, and who cares if the ritual was complete? Your goal is just to kill these people. So like,
Well, no, I do think it's about the ritual, but I do think
fair
it's
enough.
weird to just let her go and not keep her there so they could finish the ritual.
Yeah, like keep her tied up or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
that is the
really
part I
weird.
was like, what? Like,
Yeah,
I understand, like, oh, we can't complete this because then we won't be able to do the full ritual, but I don't understand being like, okay, bye.
yeah.
Like,
Just leave her. Yeah,
and
that's
I know
weird.
that Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin were like, oh, we did that so that you could see that, like, nature was telling her to stop with her quest. And I'm like, it just
I
happened so
don't,
quickly that
I
I don't
don't,
think any, I
can't
shouldn't
call
say that.
that
Obviously,
nature.
people are on board for her to get her revenge,
Sure.
but I don't think we're those two people. So this
Yeah.
scene specifically doesn't matter to us because we're just like, yeah, I already don't want her to be doing it.
Hmm.
This doesn't make me be like, oh, I guess she should stop. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, you keep choosing this kill over keeping the community together.
Hmm. Hmm. And it's in clearly you see her desire for it because up until Dina points the gun at her in this season, she thinks she's invincible. Like, you know what I mean? She literally thinks she's invincible. And I'm like, yeah, you're immune, but like you're not invincible. You could still die of blood loss. You,
Or
you could still
what's her face? Is it Tess that tells her you're not immune to being torn apart?
yeah. Yeah, like yeah, if her arm gets ripped off or something, I'm like, it's still it's wild, but she is reckless as hell and bloodlust as hell and all this kind of stuff, and it's a character almost as deeply as flawed as Joel, and the fact that
Well,
they
that I mean,
did,
that's what Gail said. They've been
yeah,
walking side by side from the
yeah,
beginning, which I agree with.
yeah,
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 they
and
with that moment where he uses violence in front of her and she's like activated is like, yeah, like she found her person.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I also did like the small little note that like the knife that she was going to use to do that emergency C-section was the knife that her mom used
Hmm.
to cut the umbilical cord for her and all that kind of stuff, and those are nice little moments. And I mean, this is something that the show did, I think, really well in episode 7, where Jesse goes like, I can't pull that bolt out. I have to push it through, otherwise I'll
Hmm.
nick an artery, and then Mel dies of the artery and all that kind of stuff. Very, very good foretelling in that foreshadowing in that regard. Yeah, the show does do a really good job expanding on those kind of things. It does a phenomenal job on it for sure.
Yeah, I do think that, um, as you said, it's not subtle in the ways the game were, but the
Hmm.
subtlety is not gone.
Yeah.
Um, I also think I've been dancing around it. I do think that some of the people I've seen complain about it think the show was trying to do something it never said it was trying to do. Like I saw someone say this is a game about um how you never get to say what you need to say, and I think if that's how people feel about the game, fine, but that's not what the show is.
No.
As we said, like the showrunner and the game creator said it's a love story, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That still stays true here. Obviously, some of the themes they're trying to do have evolved, but at the heart of it, that is the point of this,
Hmm.
which doesn't really factor into not saying what you needed to say.
No, it
I
doesn't.
I think that it's actually important that she's saying a lot of shit that she doesn't actually follow up on.
Because, and is this the problem of like, I don't like the game. People was like, oh yeah, this is what the game is. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make for a good show. What do you just gotta have like all these awkward silences, no one resolving anything or even addressing anything. It's just like, so what would the conflict be? They would just be resentful people that grow apart, and that's not the love that they actually have. Like you see it. It's like Ellie being like, I want to move out. I want to distance myself away from you, but you're still in the garage. You know what I mean?
But
It's
also, I think that also speaks to the fact that Joel was like, "I'll help you in the morning." Like, it
yeah,
maybe it is important for you to have some space.
yeah,
Um, otherwise, yeah, I could see her being like, I'm gonna go to like the other side of town because you just don't get me.
Mhm.
Um, because yeah, they teased his I guess the best way to put it is homophobia when he's
Mhm.
like, "Hey, so you and Jesse," and she's like, "No," and he's like, "Well,
Mhm.
I see things," and she's like, "I don't think you do."
Yeah.
Um, then to fully committing to like, oh, so all the teen things at once, drugs, tattoos, and experimenting with girls, and you're like, no, Joel, don't,
Yeah, don't
don't.
do the bigoted
And then
stuff.
he
That's
says,
not
like,
great.
when she tries to explain herself, and he's like,
Mhm.
no, we'll talk about it when you're more yourself. And it's like, I mean, I feel like she's the most herself she's gonna
Yeah.
be right now.
Yep.
You should probably have that conversation.
Yeah. The I think the thing that I didn't expect from Joel in that situation is like when he looks at the tattoo and is like, "Oh, this actually looked pretty good," and all that kind of stuff. And he was able to not completely end it on being a complete dick,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
in that regard. But at
because
the
they
end
do
of the
love each
day,
other.
yes, they do, and that's really, really important because like his visceral initial reaction of homophobia and all that kind of stuff, it is his initial reaction. It's he had an idea of how that day was going to go because he
Hmm.
had a birthday cake. He had all this, like, and clearly it's a day that's important to him. And it's a day that he likes providing to her. And that's why I like
Hmm.
those two instances of 16 and 17 and being like, here's how great he was. But then it all changed when she turned 18 or something like that. And she
I think
became
it's 15 and 16 you see, or is it,
something like that.
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like 15 and 16, then they skip to 18, and then you see 19.
Yeah. And then you see
I don't
19 for
remember.
sure.
There's one where they skip it. There's
Yeah.
one where they skip one of the years. But yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly that it is great to see the effort
Mhm.
because it ties into that Frank episode. Is that
Yep.
Bill and Frank?
Bill and Frank. Yep.
When they're like, yeah, you pay attention to you take care of the things you care about, and
Mhm.
that's him paying attention and taking care up into a point, right? Like up until it's not
Yeah.
comfortable him to think about uh who she may choose as a romantic partner.
Mhm. Mhm.
But he's happy to be like, yep, we can go to the museum. Yep,
Mhm.
we can play guitar.
Mhm.
But yeah, once it's like, mm, you're with girls? No,
Yeah,
you
that's not
must be
what I
out of your
wanted.
mind.
That's what
You
what I
must be out of
intended
your.
for you. That's no, we're gonna make a big deal about this. And I'm like,
But yeah, I mean, you're right. Ultimately, they find their way back to each other
mhm,
until he dies.
until he dies.
Then he can't. But I think that's my main point. I don't mind how much people actually say things in this
Yeah.
because there's one character in particular, Ellie, who's saying a lot of stuff that she's not really about.
Yep. Yep. She's just
I
faking
think
it.
she's being her most real when she says "fuck the community." All you talk about is community, and guess what? My community got smashed,
A 100%.
got beaten. I think that's the most real she is when she's having her monologues.
Yep.
I think she's being real when she says, "I don't think I can uh, forgive you, but I want to try."
Yep.
But outside of that, it's a lot of virtue signaling. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff that she's not really prepared to act on. So when she kills Mel and Owen,
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting to me because it's like that's not beating them like Abby beat
Mm-hmm.
Joel like she did to Nora. That
Mm-hmm.
is no, you just had your gun out. That was always going to be to kill,
Yep.
and you weren't really even prepared to do that with your full chest.
Mm-hmm.
You still killed them because what else is going to happen when you introduce a gun into that situation?
Yeah.
But you couldn't even do that with your full chest because you
Yeah.
just like to talk.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too is anytime Ellie does try to act on the talk that she does, it's only because she knows that other people are there to back her up. Like she gets other people in trouble without even thinking about them. Like that's the biggest thing. Like yeah, that whole like Sarah fight and the wolves and all that kind of stuff where Jesse and her are hiding behind the dumpsters. I'm like, yeah, you only did that because Jesse's there holding like a fully automatic gun and all that kind of stuff. You didn't think of any of those kind of situations and you didn't think about anything really. You're just like, all right, let's get some bloodlust going right now. That is Ellie. And I'm just like, Yeah, she chooses violence every single day. She chooses
Hmm.
violence. There was a moment in one of the episodes I forgot that even Ellie's like, yeah, maybe you should go back after seeing and understanding
Yeah,
Abby's
that's the one I
perspective.
said where she said, "I'll
Yeah,
take you back."
yeah,
To Dina.
and then it's just like, nope, bullshit, immediate bullshit.
Yeah, and I think I've heard some people hint at some bumping up against Dina saying we should go home now,
Mhm.
and I feel like that
Why?
to me is realistic.
Yeah.
Again, she went into it feeling a certain way.
Yep.
She found out she was pregnant, and not only that, she found out that she could be in this relationship with Ellie, who then
Yep.
was like, and I will be the dad.
Yep.
That would change things because
Yeah.
then now you're like, oh, but I could lose this
Yes.
if we
And
keep going. It's
you're
like, oh,
exactly
I will
right.
lose family again. So I do think, again, without her being like, it's different now, Ellie, because now we're together. Like, she's just like, no, we got to go home now. This
Yep.
is different.
Hmm.
And then people, I guess that's what I mean when I say a lot of times people want to be gatekeepers more than they want to have elevated TV or storytelling experiences, because
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
to miss something like that is an instance of, oh, so you needed them to tell you outright
Yeah.
what she was thinking.
And yeah, and the issue with people's experiences with the game is that people's experiences with the game is individual, and every playthrough is a little bit
And it's,
different, even though you're hitting the same story notes and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. It
it's a
is
personal
different
experience.
every single
But
time.
it's what you said, right? Like,
Yeah.
people want those the ability to look at the person on the couch and be like, huh? Oh, what do you think's gonna happen next? But then
Yeah.
it gets blown up if everybody is in on the same information.
Yeah.
And now it is more of a level playing field for people to
Mhm.
dig deeper into this and not just be thrown off by like, what did Abby just do, or what
Mhm.
is this? It's like, yeah, I think that is something else that I'm processing, that I do think there's issues with this season,
Mhm.
but I haven't seen anyone talk about them in that way. It's just, it didn't happen like the video game.
Yeah, it wasn't their memory of what
Hmm.
happened in their experience. And I'm like, that's just not a great way to actually review material. You got to review what you have in front of you, not what you are
Wanted
projecting
to
on
see,
it,
yeah.
right? And wanted to see or all that kind of stuff. And I think there are legitimate criticisms
Yeah.
at this season. There legitimately are. But like you said, I haven't seen anyone actually discuss them because like when people were like, "Oh, they made Ellie so dumb. They made Ellie, she's so dumb. Yeah, she's supposed to be reckless, but she's not supposed to be dumb." And I'm like, no, that is a choice. Like I said, it's minimizing, dismissing, and all that kind of stuff. The things that she doesn't consider to be important, because the only things that she doesn't joke about are the things that she wants, which is bloodlust. Like,
And she
look,
can get shit done when it's like look at, she's able to like get in that boat, and yeah, of course it capsizes, but she's able to get in there and start going without a problem when she's like, I this is what I need to do, this is
yep.
important.
Hmm.
um so yeah, I agree with you that it's not that she's actually dumb or incapable, it's just there's only a very narrow element of things she actually wants to get done.
Yeah. Yeah. And she'll just make fun of and dismiss of anything else that is not aligned towards that,
Hmm.
right?
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think my criticism, as I said, I didn't really understand the Isaac character as just what we get in season 2.
Mhm.
That to me, I was just like, what? I'm gonna do something like,
Yeah.
again, we had the Melanie Linsky character last year who's like actually a part of something, like it's an arc.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna get a Jeffrey Wright arc, and then it's like, nope, no, we're
Yeah.
not.
It's to be continued
Yeah.
in season 3, I guess. But you're right to be to bring the Melon Linsky Kansas City episode out is the idea of like, no, that was a fully fleshed out character. That was a really good
I can't
exploration
think
of
of a
that.
character in season 1 that was like named and had something to do,
Mhm.
that was treated the way some of the characters in this season were treated, where it's just like we're only getting like a fraction of it.
Yep.
Everyone felt like they were fully fleshed out for as long as they were with us
Hmm.
as story. And I'm not talking about extras or like, oh yeah, like goon number 3. I'm talking about the named characters
Hmm.
that were with us for significant period of time.
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Isaac.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I hope there's an actual arc there because I mean that last episode was just like this might be our last night. And I'm like, oh my God, that
Because
I don't
that's
love
what
the
I've.
fact that we're gonna watch season three and maybe you would die and all that kind of stuff. Like
Well, there is a
that's
reset, so we
yeah.
can still see. Like,
No,
we
yeah,
saw
you're
his
right.
last night, but
Yeah.
which I've already
Yeah,
seen
you're
confirmed
right.
that's his last night. But there is a reset, so he's still. It's
Mhm.
just why bother introducing him in this season?
Yeah.
As he should have just been in that last episode or
Yeah.
something. To me, like this to have him in
Yeah.
2 episodes, I'm like, what? Why did we even set this up?
No, it's just further evidence that they should not have divided this up into two
Yeah,
seasons. That's really what it is. It's just like, oh, well, see, you have all these loose threads hanging and it's just not a good way to actually introduce an actor like Jeffrey Wright and in just kind of it's they're doing a whole lot of nothing right now, and it's gonna be too long until the payoff actually exists, and then by then people will be like, I don't, I don't know if they're gonna be as enthusiastic about this, in season three, but based on how everyone's receiving this season, but it is what it
that
is.
is. Yeah, I think Elise Park was the other character. I was like, what are we
Yes,
doing with her right now?
yeah, because like the fact that she had to seal the doors off on her own son for the greater good, like that was just wild, like
But then to see her
wild,
again in
and
this episode,
then.
I'm like, okay, if it was just that at one episode, but then it's this episode, I'm like, what? What are we doing? This
Yeah.
needed to be in season 3. Like, I don't need to see
Yep.
her doing that.
Mhm.
And Hanaran or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but it's the Alana Ubach character. I'm just like these sketches, these ideas that I
Mhm.
thought were gonna be paid off, and then I'm like, nope,
Mhm.
no, they're not.
I will say, I really like this one thing that they did in the show, which is like my zombie apocalypse survival plan is immediately take over a Costco.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, yeah, you would be able to barter and trade so much stuff at that point. It's great. It's a great strategy. Take over a Costco. And then I'm also like, huh, that's what the Seahawks stadium would look like in a post-apocalyptic situation. That's really cool.
yeah. I know people were excited about that.
Yeah.
Not the showrunners who were like, we need to figure out how to film this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be rough. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say about the season. What about you?
No, yeah, I really don't have anything else, much else to say. Um, yeah, for all intents and purposes, I can see what they're trying to do and how they're trying to
Hmm.
expand on the story that's told in the game. It's just I don't
Well, this is only
think there's
7
enough.
episodes. I just
Yeah,
feel like
it,
even if you are
mhm,
like, if you want to expand,
mhm.
what's with the 7 episodes? Like, what?
Yeah,
There should just be more episodes, even if we're expanding.
yeah. Just and here's the thing: if you're going to like if you're going to do that, just tell more stories with the characters that are already established. Like
Yeah,
you have the Ghost Rider couple there in Jackson.
Maria and Tommy. Yeah,
Tom Maria and Tommy. I'm like, that's a great story. Tell more of their stories and all that kind of stuff. Like that's how you do it.
yeah.
But
You
to
gave him a kid,
yeah.
which means you can dwell on the kid for a little bit before you take him out of there.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they could write this and all that kind of stuff, but they're too tethered down by the actual story of the game, and it's just like that's a mistake. It's an issue. I feel, and it clearly is because, and I really like you said, people are just gatekeeping their experience and expecting everyone to have the same experience they had with the game with this show, and that ain't right. That was a little bit easier to forgive in season one, where it was like, all right, we're telling the whole season or the whole game in
Hmm.
one season. The dividing up, and like I said, a company like Naughty Dog that has notoriously been very, very greedy, picking the pockets of the gamers and all that kind of stuff with the remasters and all that kind of stuff. It's not surprising, but it is a huge, huge critique that I have towards this season. Is this like, yeah, you're not giving us a full story at this point. It's just you're leaving us hanging, and that's fine, but with no actual satisfactory storytelling in regards to all of this. It's too much that's left untied. It's 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 too much, I think.
Uh, all right, let's rate it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna give it a 7 because I still think that there was things I liked. It just didn't exceed like what they set up and planted.
Yeah, I'm at a 6.5 for those exact reasons. There's a lot more that I am getting out of this, but at the same time, it is just it's incomplete storytelling, and I
Yeah.
don't like that, and it's not okay. Not okay.
Yeah, and to me, I'm trying to remove the fact that I know they're pushing for a season 4, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Like if I was like, oh, this will get wrapped up next season, I'd probably feel better about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not complete, but at least I'd be like, okay, they're gonna be
Yeah.
in it. But to know that they're like, but we could get another season out of this,
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, no.
That is rough, and especially because I'm just like season 3, like I said, buckle into your strap into your seats because it's an Abby-led season, and that is not what a lot of people want to hear. So it's just like, okay, um, it's an uphill battle. They're really gonna have to really polish it, and I don't think they could with the reception of this. I just don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, but 6.5.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening, everybody. You can find us at tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. We are at tdfspoiled on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. You can email spoiledpodcast@gmail.com. We're on all the different podcast platforms, so please rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends, follow, do all that stuff, and get in touch however you can. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.